But let's get into the topic you all know that I want to talk about. My favorite band of all time, Helloween, releasing a brand new single called This Is Tokyo. This is the first single off of the album that comes out on August 29th. That album, of course, is called Giants and Monsters. The album cover, of course, is out there and has been revealed, as is the track listing, and they finally released a single off of this album. And I will put that single in the show notes so you guys can listen to it if you have not heard it. Now, I have a few thoughts, and I'm going to talk about some of the reactions. So the reaction to this track has been mostly positive. A lot of people like the song. I would say about 80-85% of the people dig the track. There are some naysayers out there that do not like it. And the biggest comment I have heard from people is that they're unhappy that the band didn't release like a long, epic power metal song like they did on the self-titled album, Skyfall. And there was some disappointment from a few people. So I'm going to discuss that. And I'm also going to discuss the song and the meaning behind it. So when you go to the track, there is a quote from Andy Darris. I'm going to read it here. He puts, for the song This Is Tokyo, I've always wanted to write this song. Japan plays a very special role in my life because I had my first number one there with Pink Cream 69, and they always treated me incredibly well. I wanted to set a monument to Japan and finally had the right idea for the lyrics because Tokyo is catchier than Japan. The city in this song stands for the whole country, and that is very important to me. Okay, so let's discuss the song first and his quote. And I can understand his quote from many different angles. The biggest one, of course, besides Japanese people being wonderful people, because I do deal with them quite a bit, you know, when it comes to my photography and buying photography gear. The Japanese market, let's be honest, folks, is probably one of, if not the most consistent market for Helloween. You know, when it comes to supporting a band like Helloween, and not just Helloween, but, you know, heavy metal and hard rock in general. And what I mean by consistent is that despite trends in other countries, the Japanese market has always been very highly supportive of this genre of music, of heavy metal and hard rock, you know, despite what trends are going on in other countries. So the Japanese market, of course, was, you know, big with hard rock and heavy metal, you know, at least since the 70s, right? And despite how big or small heavy metal may or may not be in other countries, Helloween has always had a very good, very viable, very consistent market in Japan. They supported the band throughout the heyday of metal in the 1980s. They supported the band during the dark ages of heavy metal, where, you know, metal really wasn't big really anywhere else, but Japan was still carrying the flag and the torch throughout the 90s, throughout the grunge years. And in general, throughout the entire 40-year history of Helloween, this market has been the most consistent. It is a very passionate fan base, folks. I can tell you, when I ran the band's website in the late 90s through the mid 2000s, I talked to so many Japanese fans, and that support, I can tell you, is no joke. They legit love this band and have always supported not only Helloween, but hard rock and heavy metal music in general. And if you want to expand that a little bit, this market, of course, supported Gamma Ray through the 1990s. Obviously, Kai Hansen's other band. Michael Kiske solo albums always had very strong Japanese support. So what I'm saying is that it makes a lot of sense to write a song like this. You know, and Andy talks about, and I don't know what he meant by number one with Pink Cream 69. I'm not sure if it was an album or a single, but generally speaking, much of the early success and the first real success that he had, I believe, you know, the biggest success early on in Andy's career was Japan. And actually, many bands out there in the heavy metal genre find their biggest early successes in the Japanese market. Now, the song itself I think, is very good. It's more in the straight-ahead hard rock style. More, it has a little bit of that Pink Cream 69 vibe to it. Now, I don't know if that was intentional as a tribute to the Japanese market, that Andy said, you know what? My first number one single or album was in Japan. Let me write something similar to what I did in Pink Cream, or at least in that style. But regardless of whether that was the intention or not, that is how this song came out. And I think the song is very, very good. It's just a straight ahead hard rock song. I think it's catchy. It's got a great chorus, great guitar solo. I think the song is great. And it makes sense to release it as the first single because that first single is going to get a ton of exposure. And if you're going to say thank you to a fan base that has always consistently supported you throughout your entire career, from the very beginning through now, you want to make the big splash to pay tribute to them, and I don't blame him for doing that at all. I deal with Japanese people. For those of you that don't know, I do a lot of photography, and I buy a lot of vintage camera gear from a couple stores in Japan. And honestly, Japanese people are wonderful people. I've been interacting and doing business with people in Japan for a quarter of a century now. Over a quarter of a century. So I think it's a fitting tribute because, one, your first number one anything was in Japan. And I'm talking about from Andy's perspective. So you write a song in the style of your first band, the band you were in before Helloween, put it on a Helloween album, and you're basically paying tribute to a fan base that has supported your career despite what band you have been in, regardless of whatever band you've been in. I think that's awesome. I'd give the song about a 9 out of 10. It's definitely one of Andy Darris's better, more straight-ahead hard rock songs. And that leads me to the next aspect of this. The naysayers that are upset that Helloween's first single wasn't some long, epic power metal track. If you remember, on the self-titled album, they put Skyfall out. Skyfall's like close to about a 10-minute song almost. People went nuts. And people now are like angry. Not everybody, but some people are like pissed they didn't do this. Folks, first of all, let me just say that Skyfall is kind of an anomaly as far as putting out a single, because the band typically does not put out long, epic power metal songs as a single for their album. In fact, more often than not, the songs they put out as singles are straight ahead rock songs, just like This Is Tokyo. I was actually shocked when Skyfall came out. I'm like, oh, wow, they put like this long, epic Kai Hansen composition out as the first song. Now, they might have done that because of Kai coming back to the band. I don't know what led to that decision. All I know is I own like 12 copies of that single on different vinyl variants. But as a matter of history, and a lot of people seem to have a short memory, the band typically doesn't release songs like that as singles. So if you want some examples, let's go back to the Keeper era. Start with Keeper 2. My favorite songs on Keeper 2: Eagle Fly Free, Keeper of the Seven Keys, March of Time. Folks, those are among not only fan favorites, but they are my favorites. And none of those songs were singles. The singles they picked off of Keeper 2 were the more straight-ahead rock songs like Dr. Stein and I Want Out. You go back to Keeper 1. They technically had two singles. But Future World, which is the most straight-ahead rock song on Keeper 1, was the single for the album. Now, they did release Helloween, probably more for MTV purposes, where they edited out like 2/3 of the song. There is a picture disc shaped vinyl with that 5-minute version of Helloween. I actually own it. But they did put that song out as a single, technically for MTV mainly. But like there was no, aside from that like cutaway picture disc, I don't know of any other format. I don't believe there is one. But Future World, the most straight ahead rock song, that was the single for Keeper One. And if you go back and look at all of their albums in general, as a matter of history, almost always they've put straight ahead rock songs out, not the epic power metal songs. Let's go to, for example, My God-Given Right, the album before the self-titled. Lost in America, My God-Given Right, the title track, both singles, both more straight-ahead rock tracks. They didn't put You, This Is War, any of the songs Wyke wrote, aside from Battles Won, which, it's kind of an epic power metal song. But generally speaking, 2 out of the 3 singles were straight-ahead rock songs. You look at Better Than Raw. What were the 2 singles? Hey Lord and I Can, both straight-ahead rock songs. You look at Time of the Oath, the first single they put out was Power, a more straight-ahead rock song. Time of the Oath itself, the title track was more of like this, almost sounded kind of like a doom metal type track a little bit. And of course you had Forever and One, which is more of like kind of a ballad. We take a look at, Seven Sinners, right? That album had Are You Metal? And there were quite a few epic power metal songs on that album. Let's take Keeper of the Seven Keys of the Legacy. You have songs like King for 1,000 Years and Occasion Avenue. What did they pick? Mrs. God. I believe originally they were going to put the song Come Alive as the single, but I believe they decided against that. I have to remember there was an old press release where they put that out. But anyhow, Mrs. God was the single. So my point is, while I understand where everybody is coming from, and I'm sure some of the other tracks they put out probably will be more epic power metal songs, as a general rule, Helloween has always typically put out, more times than not, the straight ahead rock song off of the album as either the first single or for all of the singles on the album. Now, they would put some of those epic tracks, let's say back in the days when you had CD singles for everything, they would probably put that as one of the other tracks on that CD single. Like, for example, Keeper of the Seven Keys, The Legacy, on the Mrs. God single, there was one format where they had King for 1,000 Years as one of the other songs on the album, aside from the bonus track, the B-side. So I'm sure those songs are coming, but it shouldn't surprise any of you that they decided to put a song like this out as the first single. So folks, I'm extremely excited for this. There is a link in the show notes to pre-order the album. I put up the link from RPM Rainy Phoenix Music's website to give you a link to different places you can order it. If you want to get all the vinyl variants of the album, there's different places on that link page that will guide you and direct you there. But that is my take on This Is Tokyo by Helloween. Again, I like the song. It is a fitting tribute to a wonderful fan base that has always consistently supported heavy metal regardless of trends in other countries. And it was really cool to see Andy write a track like this. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching. And if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video. And if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.